All right. Welcome to Happy Hour with Heather and Guest. We're live. It is 6 o'clock Saturday night. Just waiting for the guys from Svn Seeker to hit us up, but I hope you're all doing well out there. And not sure. Wherever you're watching from, I hope you're doing well. If it's the evening, wherever it is, or if it's in the morning. It looks like there's someone watching, which is great. A couple people. Let's see, hopefully the guys in Svn Seeker will... Hello, Heather. Good to see you. So, wow. I didn't realize how large my earphones are. Did I just call them earphones? Headphones. Jeez. Yep, here we go. All right. All right.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
How's it going?
Pretty good. Just moving to a quieter room.
Yeah, it's all
Sorry,
good.
my dog's gonna be hanging out. Gator, come here,
That's
bud.
fine.
Might be a bit noisy in the background, so sorry
It's
about that.
no. It's this is a slice of life type thing.
Oh, okay, neat.
Yeah. Bring it. I
We'll just
mean,
get.
if you ever want to bring Gator on camera, feel free to. Or if he just
I'll be
jumps
fun.
up.
Come on up,
But
buddy. Move that. Hey, bud. Hey, hi. Just
yeah,
don't hit the button to end the chat.
yeah. That's I have my nephew is about 3,
Yeah.
so when we FaceTime with my brother, he'll repeatedly try to turn it off because he knows how to do that. So
Hi, Gator. You were lonely because I was doing work. Oh, of course.
that's what happens. What kind of dog is that?
So he's a Pharaoh Hound Pit Bull mix.
Okay,
So we rescued him from a shelter in New York City about a few years ago, my girlfriend and I, and he's been stuck with us ever since. And I'm still determining whether or not that's a good thing.
I would imagine it is.
No, that's
That
great. He's definitely got his annoying quirks, but he's incredibly clingy and
yeah.
incredibly protective, and that sometimes ends up with her brother getting nipped at. Isn't that right, buddy? Give me a kiss. Thank you.
That reminds me. I grew up in New York City, um,
Oh, nice.
and one of my good friends used to have a bull mastiff,
Oh, wow.
which which you wouldn't think would be a great city dog, but he didn't. He actually enjoyed staying inside and just sort of lounging around. But
Huh.
when I would take him for walks, everyone on the side of our street would cross the street because they were all frightened.
Oh yeah, no gators. We're lucky because we live in a condo complex where there are a lot of pit bulls, and one of the first women we met was she had pit bulls for a lot of time. We see them everywhere because our concern when we initially bought the place was with the rules of because some places have those stupid breed rules, and so we were worried that they wouldn't let him be be allowed to move in. But no, they were fine with him.
Cool.
That was nice. He was yeah, it was a very lucky find, lucky get.
Good. So
Oh,
you're in Bristol, right? Connecticut?
yep, Bristol,
Okay.
Connecticut. Yeah, that's me.
Gotcha.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I go on, I'm sorry.
no, sorry, I'm just gonna say the band. We all practice here, but all of us are from different parts of Bristol. I mean, of Bristol, Connecticut. Although, actually, no, half of us now live in Bristol because our bass player just moved over here.
Gotcha. Yeah, really the only thing I know about Bristol, I used to commute to work in Greenwich.
Oh,
So
geez.
I worked in Greenwich for a little while. But the only thing I really remember about Bristol is that's where the WWF headquarters were, or still are, I think.
No, they're
Or
actually in Stanford.
oh no, Stamp. That's right. Isn't ESPN
Bristol's
in
where
Bristol?
ESPN. Yeah,
That's right. Yeah.
one of the two massive sports entertainment conglomerates. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't. If I could take a time machine back, and see my 15-year-old self, he'd beat me up for not remembering that ESPN was Bristol. But
That's all right. It's it just takes up a lot of space in the city.
yeah, I can imagine it's probably very similar to like a college town. Like if you go to Ann Arbor, Michigan, really everything is sort of University of Michigan. I would imagine Bristol is probably very much catered towards the ESPN community. Although I could be wrong.
You know what? It's actually it's Bristol's a fairly large city. So ESPN does take a big chunk of it, but there's actually a lot more around the area. That's not just it's not like centered around it. It's just kind of there. You know
Gotcha.
what I mean? It takes up a big
Yeah,
spot, but it's out of the way. It's not really like the hub of the city. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna teach these guys how to get added to the chat.
yeah, it's all good.
This is our
I
first
guess,
chat on Facebook Live, like kind of like this. So they're still
yeah,
trying to
no,
figure it
it's
out.
all, believe me, this is actually going really well. Uh, a lot of the time there's usually delays or there's technical. At some point, I'll need to figure out how to do this on a computer, but
Right.
because
I
I
imagine
think
you
it's
could probably still
possible.
host it. Yeah, I can imagine you could still host it from a computer.
E- Every time we've tried on a computer, it hasn't worked.
Oh, really?
So yeah, so that's been. I mean, there's probably a way to sort of to do it, but it's out of my pay grade, so to speak. So, oops, we lost Nikita. That's okay, he'll be back. And we're adding him again.
I think it's because I left just to send them a message, and it all of a sudden has to kick me out.
It's all good,
So I
but
just sent them instructions. Hopefully they'll learn and be
yeah,
in here in a second. I think they're trying to probably use their computers as well. So
gotcha. Yeah, it's one of those things where I always feel bad to tell people, sorry, but you got to use your phone because I don't know how to use the computer. And by the
right.
way, there's also these other, limiting things. But Heather wrote, I don't know how to add more people. Teach us too.
I
So,
mean, I just sent them the invite to the chat, and it gives you that little,
right.
jump in request to join. I don't know. I mean, you can imagine you could do more than just two people on chat, right?
I don't, to be honest with you, I don't know.
I mean,
Um,
worst case scenario, it'll be the two of us. Let's see
yeah,
what.
that's, if that's, I mean, if I see the option to bring someone else in, I'll definitely do it. But so far,
Oh
I've
boy.
only ever seen these done as a split screen with two people.
Hmm.
So
Maybe that might be the extent of it. Unless,
I don't, I guess we'll find out. That's
yeah.
the beauty of these things.
I
So
guess we
I,
will find out.
I was listening to the new EP before we talked,
Hmm.
and yeah, it's called Means to an End,
Yep.
if I'm not mistaken. By the way, if I'm mistaken about anything, feel free just to throw it out, correct me on the fly.
Okay. All
But
right.
uh, but yeah, it's sort of a melodic black death metal, I would say, or not even, or is that
Yeah. I mean, I always just kind of give it a blanket term of like melodic death metal whenever I
gotcha?
describe us. I've heard a
That's what
lot
I
of
meant. Yeah, not the
yeah.
not the
A
but
lot
yeah,
of people
melodic.
though do compare us to a lot of like black metal bands. Like I've heard the dissection comparison being thrown out quite a few times, which I tweeted about recently. It was funny because I haven't listened to dissection throughout the writing process at all. Actually, once the songs were done, I went back and re-listened to those albums, but not till like all the songs were set in stone and we were just practicing them.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's I'm fond of saying I host a podcast that primarily we listen to different genres of metal, and I'm
Hmm.
always fond of saying that the only reason why a lot of these labels exist is to give people something to argue about.
I mean, to a
So,
certain point, you're right because you have just it gets ridiculous with a lot of the genre
yeah.
arguments,
I
and
mean,
it's like,
I'm fine just saying it's good music and just
yeah,
leaving it at that. And it's obviously it is heavier. If a friend of mine was into folk music, I probably would suggest maybe he's not going to enjoy your music as much. Um,
probably not, but that's
but
okay.
but I would just say, yeah, if you're into metal, pick it up. It's got some great songwriting, some great melodies, and
Well, thank you.
yeah, yeah. Oh wait, hold on. There's more. Let's see. I'm going to approve a couple. Okay, so it says can't bring Jeff on camera because there's already a guest. So my guess is it's just.
Ah, so it's only two people.
I think it's just two people.
Oh, that's a bit of an oversight on Facebook's part.
But
They should be better than that by now. He makes enough
you'd
money.
you'd think. Um,
You would think. All
I
right.
mean, we could. It's really up to you how you want to do this.
I mean, I look, it's, um, I wrote most of the stuff as far as like the album's concerned and do a lot of the behind the scenes work.
the
So if
the
you
other
want,
thing
no, go on.
the other thing we could do is you and I could keep talking live for now, and then we could record a Skype one with the three of us that we can post later. So
Sure, I'd
that
be fine
wouldn't,
with that. I'd be fine with
yeah,
that
I
if you
mean
were.
that wouldn't be live,
Yeah,
but it would be, at least we would get everybody's
yeah, we can do a chat
participation.
like that if you're cool with that.
Absolutely,
Yeah, let me.
absolutely.
It's probably gonna kick me off when I do this. Let me message them in our group chat real quick and just tell them it'll be me, and then we'll
Okay.
do the Skype thing later. We'll schedule that for later.
Yeah, yeah, that
So
sounds good.
2 seconds. I'm gonna
Yeah,
disappear
yeah,
real
no,
quick.
no worries. I'll do a tap dance in your absence.
Typing on a phone. This is interesting to watch.
No, it's all good. Yeah, no, it's all good. What really is so since the pandemic's hit, I'm actually staying at my parents' house. So I was able to teach my father how to use Siri to just make a vocal, just say, please call so and so,
Yep.
rather than have to type in the numbers. So now it's interesting in the morning, when we're drinking coffee, I hear him say, Siri, call so and so that's just since you were talking about typing on a phone. All right, here we go.
And I'm back.
And yeah, yeah, no, that was an excuse for me just to go off on a tangent about using phones. So
And then Jeff gave me a very polite F Facebook in the group chat. Well, I can't disagree on that.
yeah, no, this is you would think that by now you'd be able to do sort of a Zoom type of, and
Right?
and who knows, you might be able to. Um, I'm unfamiliar with how to do it.
I don't know.
So
It's weird. It must be like some weird semantic kind of thing where you can't have it in a room in a group or whatever. I don't know. It's stupid. You'd
I don't
think
know.
with the amount of money and funding behind Facebook at this point that they'd be able to actually figure out how to do a group chat. Because I think
Yeah,
Google Plus did it, all the years ago when people didn't use Google Plus.
I don't know. I mean, this is where I would quote from Blazing Saddles and say Andrew only pawn in Game of Life. That's sort of my go-to. Yeah, Heather wrote they have weird rules.
Yeah,
So
Facebook's just awful and weird in general. I got to say that. That's good. That's totally not going to affect our band being able to promote.
no,
But
no. Well, so this speaking of promoting, this latest EP that you just put out
yep,
is the first one that
yep,
you guys have recorded.
yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
it's
and
our it's our little debut.
Davey, yeah. So for those of you out there watching, as I had said before, it's sort of a melodic death metal type sound to it,
Yep.
but definitely if you're into more than just that category, you should definitely give this band a listen from the Bristol, Connecticut area. Although I guess you guys live around various areas of Connecticut.
Yeah, like the central Connecticut area, more or less. I mean, Bristol's where that's basically where we practice and rehearse and always meet up. So it's kind of like where the band is based. Myself and the bass player, we were the two guys who really kickstarted this whole thing. Uh, he was from a different town over, Southington, but now he's in Bristol. But yeah, we're from around. Our other guitar players in a town called Weathersfield that's right next to Hartford, and then our drummer just recently moved to another town over in like New called New Britain. we're literally like a hop, skip, and a jump from each other.
Gotcha.
So, but yeah, it's
Yeah,
Central Connecticut. It's such a large. Central Connecticut tends to be like a large area that you can find most bands.
yeah. Well, it's and it just goes to show that when like when I heard you say Bristol, my first thought was, okay, well, there's probably not as much going on. It's probably all catered to ESPN, which of course
Yeah.
is not the case. But
I mean, it's definitely like the big thing people know about it. We Bristol also has a theme park, which is like
gotcha.
kind of it's like the closest, instead of going to Six Flags, which is already all the way in Massachusetts for us. There's another theme park in Connecticut called Lake Compounds, which is in Bristol, and it's definitely not as big and expansive as Six Flags, but it's also probably a little bit cheaper. It's a little bit on the smaller side, but you can still kind of get that same, theme park fun that you would get. Although they have roller coasters like any other theme park that can kill you.
Yeah, and I mean, after all, isn't that what it's all about?
Yeah, possibly dying. I mean, there've been
By the
stories.
way, let me give a shout out to Brad, super fan of the show. He's watching.
Oh hell yeah!
Keep get yeah, getting get. I love seeing the names of people as they join the group.
Right.
But yeah, he watches every show.
Oh
He's
awesome.
definitely he's definitely a good guy
Hell
and
yeah.
a fan of music. So he'll probably check out the EP,
Perfect. Check
which
it out
is
anywhere.
Means to an End, which you can find on any platform, I would imagine.
Yep, we got it
So
on Bandcamp, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, Tidal, TikTok, whatever we can get it on, it's there. Although I just got a message earlier today about a guy who's a promoter who put up our full EP on his YouTube channel for promotion. And I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to say to him when I reply to his message because he was nice about it. He's like, "Hey, I want to make sure I get the promotional info right," and it was just cool. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, the music's already up on YouTube, man. I can't see the data from your upload, but
right.
it's like at the same time, it's each track has its own individual video, whereas with his, it's like one 20-minute video that has all the whole EP front to back. So it's like, I guess I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know how I'm gonna
that's
approach that one.
yeah, that's it. I mean, that's sort of these are the things that are sort of new to have to think about within the last couple of years that
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I was teaching at my last I was when I was teaching high school, we talked about fair use a little bit, um, because we were doing a segment on satire.
Mm.
So I had said, like, for example, when Weird Al Yankovic does a song, he doesn't need to get permission from the artist for legal reasons because it's parody, which is
Yeah.
protected I mean, he does it anyway because he doesn't want there to be any problems. But yeah, we didn't really even get into the whole sort of like promotion or YouTube and stuff. That's why I sort of got into the habit when I play music on the podcast, I cut the last like 30 seconds of the song off so
Ah.
that if there's ever a problem, I could always argue, well, it's fair use. I'm not playing the entire track. I
Right.
don't, I would, not, I don't think anyone, it's not like I'm playing an entire album. So
Yeah.
I don't think anyone would have a problem in promoting their music. But, uh, but I could see how this might ruffle some feathers being like, yeah, you basically put our whole album on YouTube
Right.
and, that's like, do you see how this could be problematic?
And see, I don't know if this guy bought the EP either, because the channel that the account that he messaged us from was not. It's like something something promotions or whatever. It's not like a person. So I don't know if they
Right.
bought the digital copy or. And I was actually looking yesterday, just randomly Googled us to see like, oh, what's going on? Like, is there a review I missed or something? And I just found all the Russian blog spot sites that have it up for torrent. And I go, we made it. We made it as a band. We're on a legal downloading site. That's all in Russian. I love it.
Yeah, I mean that like I mean that's got to be a badge of honor in some
Right?
in some way. I mean, it kind of does, it maybe it doesn't legitimize the fact that you've made it, but the fact that you're on a BitTorrent site in Russia,
right?
um, you know, that's
It's a
I
stepping
mean, I
stone kind of thing,
yeah, those are I guess those are the sort of problems you'd want to have in a way.
right? Almost like, oh, it's
I think
you like us enough to want to pirate us. The funniest thing is my old band, the band I used to be in, Archaic Decapitator. So they released three EPs. I was with them for like one and a half of them, kind of, and their first full length was put up for free on Bandcamp. Like, not even pay what you want, actual just $0, don't pay, just take it. And I remember seeing that uploaded so much to illegal sites, and I'm thinking like, what are you doing? It's already $0 without the risk of viruses, and now you made it harder on yourselves. It's just why? I mean, in hindsight, they did end up taking it down because it was one of those things that wasn't representative of where the band was. It was kind of one of those. This is our early release that we kind of don't talk about because we're no longer doing this kind of thing. And just ignore it.
right.
So now, if you wanted to hear, you have to torrent it. But back then, it was like, nope, Russian blog spots everywhere. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, it's free though. It's
Yeah,
already free.
yeah, it's alright. I by the way, Heather said we can say we knew you when. So
Yep.
that's in terms of, yeah, so we can.
Yeah, you can.
When you guys are huge in Russia and you're playing the Moscow, the Masters of Metal Moscow,
Right.
we can say, hey, I did an interview with him where
I knew that guy.
we couldn't get his bandmates on because the technology isn't very good.
Yeah,
But
it'll get big when we have like holodecks and everything.
yep,
Oh man. The one thing I do like is one of the sites I found had comments and all the comments were nice. So I'll take that.
yeah. I mean, that's was it were the comments in Russian or were they in
Yeah,
English?
they were all in Russian.
Okay, so I would imagine you speak Russian then to be able to.
Yep. Yep. I'm conversationally fluent. I'm definitely not like at a super high level, but
Gotcha.
I can
Well,
hold a
at least
conversation.
you can read comments about your band.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
so
great.
Brad wrote definitely will be playing at a sold out Red Square.
Yeah, with
Yeah,
plenty
why
of
not?
guns on us.
I only know one phrase in Russian that I learned from the movie Spies Like Us,
Okay.
which was I believe "Semenchesnaya Temlucha." The less you know, the better.
Say it one more time.
I mean my pronunciation
No,
is
no, it's
probably going to
okay.
be
I just
wrong.
want to make no, it's all right.
Okay.
I'm not going to judge on your pronunciation. I just wanted to
Oh
hear
no
it
no
again.
no no! I'm throwing myself under the bus
No,
because
it's
my
whatever.
pronunciation Semenchesnaya Temlucha.
Oh, okay. Okay, I get it. Меньше, чем
Okay,
знают,
yeah.
тем лучше. Okay.
See, yeah,
Well, it's also it's a language thing with any language that's not like
right.
your own where your accent's going to impact it and vice
Sure, sure.
versa.
It's I'm laughing because a while ago I spoke to a Swedish musician who is in a band right now called Cavern Deep, but
Okay.
he's also and they're all their songs are in English,
All
but
right.
he's in another Swedish band called I believe it's pronounced Gudar Skimning.
Huh.
But when I said to him, I've listened, I'm excited for Cavern Deep. I've listened to Gudar Skimning, and he looked at me like, which band are you talking about? And then I said it like four times, and then he finally went, "Oh, you mean Gudar Skim?" And but he said it the correct way, whereas
Right.
I was butchering it the whole time.
Yeah, that's
So
it's such a see, I try to it's a weird thing with me and it's not like I'm trying to show it off ever, but like
no, 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 but
no, no.
there's
No, sorry, go ahead, go ahead.
oh no, no, I was gonna say no, no, but there is when you understand the accent and the tones and you say it's just a natural sort of thing.
Yeah.
I didn't take it to that you were throwing me under the bus at all.
No, no, it wasn't about
So
that. I mean, like in general, for me, when it comes to like anything in a foreign language, I try to make sure I understand the pronunciation as good as like closely as I can, just because being like understanding Russian for me, and like when you hear other people think they know how they're talking about, they'll or how they're saying it, they go off. and they'll say some things, and I'm listening to it, and I go, I don't know what you're talking about. Like you're pronouncing.
Yeah,
But
well,
yeah,
meanwhile,
usually
Brad,
I try to keep it as like I feel like it's respecting the language, so I try to get it as close to the proper pronunciation as I can.
absolutely. Meanwhile, Brad wrote he can barely speak English.
You're
So,
not. That's okay, you know,
yeah,
as
yeah.
long as you can speak
Well,
it enough.
I usually whenever I typically I try to find 3 bands a day to put on the podcast,
Right,
and 9 out of 10 times, if it's a band from another country, I will probably mispronounce their name. So
right.
I always put that sort of disclaimer at the beginning. I apologize ahead of time. I believe it's pronounced, this,
Right.
and I mean every time the band is usually really cool if I've mispronounced their name. Um, One of the bands actually from Germany recently said, "With the next time we play the U.S., we'll stop by and give you German lessons." And there. So it's always really cool. But
Well,
I
it's
try
good.
my best. Yeah,
No, yeah, yeah, I get
I
you.
always try my best to. But
It's
yeah,
tough,
wow,
especially
okay.
when you don't understand the language. It's like, how are you gonna pick it up? It's like if you have no idea like the conventions of pronouncing the language, then you're left to what you know.
the
And so inevitably you're gonna end up getting it wrong. And as long as no one's mean about it,
yeah that well the good thing is that I've sort of settled into a position where I don't really care.
oh,
I'm
that's convenient.
I'm sort of comfortable enough that if I get it wrong, so be it. And if I get it right, then that's gravy. But oh, and Heather said, Nikita, I know I can't pronounce your last name. So
That might be the middle name, because the middle name
okay,
is the really long one. The last name, what's funny is the last name gives a lot of people issues because of the H right after the K, and for some reason that throws 90% of people for a loop, even though it's basically a silent H. Like it's not a kh, just ignore the H and you pronounce it, and like, oh, that's exactly what it is. The middle name, I get, it's long, but it's phonetic, at least.
gotcha.
So
So Heather,
there's no
there you go.
surprises.
Just ignore the H in the last name, Heather, and you'll be fine.
Yep, you'll get it right away. The middle name you just have to work it out slowly, but once you work it out, it's all phonetic, so nice and easy
Gotcha.
usually. Sometimes.
So okay, so we were talking about before that Russian BitTorrents, which I guess signified
hmm
that you're on the ascent.
Yep, we made it.
But
People want to steal our music now.
I mean, I guess there probably are better things in life, but I mean you can check that off the list.
Right? Yeah, it's
You
nice.
know, the next thing you need to do is just make sure you don't order too many koozies for the merch table.
Yeah, that's what sucks. And I'm glad you mentioned merge because it's something we're trying to figure out right now. So we have like we have the CDs, we have stickers from when we ordered them a while ago, and we have pins that we ordered a while ago that were supposed to be sold at shows. Um, and with every order of a CD, I'll throw in a sticker and a pin because if it why not, I have them. I'm not going to start selling, and shipping out $1 for like a pin or a sticker because I'm just going to end up people are going to end up paying more for shipping than they are the merch.
Right.
But right now we're working on getting shirts printed, and it's like, we have one design already. We're gonna have another design made up for us probably by June, and then from there it's like, well, how initially we're trying to go like, well, we'll just order like 50 or 100 shirts and sell them, but then it's like, who's gonna buy them if there's no shows? So now you have to do the print on demand thing, and the merch, the whole thing with merch nowadays with bands is so different, and I'm trying to really get caught up on that because yeah, I could order koozies definitely, and I might, but those are the kind of things that are great for like filling out a merch table. Um, and without a merch table, I feel like it's almost no point in ordering koozies or like small things like bands will get like lighters and bottle openers made, but those are just kind of like stocking stuffers or um, extra. extra fun bits from people order something bigger, like a shirt. So
Meanwhile,
it's
Brad asked if you're wearing one of your
oh no,
Red shirts.
we haven't printed shirts yet. I'm wearing a Byzantine shirt, hanging out in
Okay.
my bed. Yeah, really really
Yeah,
sweet band
that's
from West Virginia.
West Virginia. Cool.
Yeah, yeah. I
That
ended up talking and get making friends with a couple of the guys a few years ago, so that was fun.
cool. Yeah, that's that when I was in I was in grad school for creative writing,
Awesome.
and when I was when in the midst of being in grad school, or at least when I was accepted, my thought was, okay, all I have to do now is write. Like I don't have to think about anything else. And then when as you're there and when you graduate, you begin to realize, okay, I have to write, but I also think about how to promote myself and market
Yep.
myself. And if I get a story published, how am I going to let people know? And I need to have an online presence. And
Yep.
I, I've begun to realize, especially in talking with so many musicians, that writing the songs and getting an album is really only like half the battle these days. It's thinking about merch and booking
Yep.
and
Yep. It's tough, especially when you're a small band and you're doing it all yourself with the DIY thing. It's so hard. It's funny that you mentioned this because I was actually telling a friend of mine yesterday. So we're friends with the band Marvel of Decay in Connecticut. I actually just put up a post promoting their newest EP. And I was chatting with him and I was like, "Hey, have you guys sent it out to get reviewed at all?" And he's like, "Oh, no, is that what you guys did?" And so I had to, I did my part because with bands like at our level, we got to help each other. It's crazy to me that people try to keep each other down at this level, and it's insane. But that's a whole rant for a different. I could do like 2 hours on that kind of rant. But it's exactly as you said, and I was kind of telling him like you have to do so much more now. Like there's so many bands that can probably write amazing songs and are incredibly talented and proficient and whatever. But if you're not on social media and promoting it and marketing yourself and doing all this other stuff, you're dead in the water. It's been said numerous times, and I feel that like bands in the rock and metal scene kind of have a very outdated outlook still on how things are done in the music industry, especially when bands are starting out, because all of your idols are bands that have been around for a minimum of 20, 25 years now, and it's like you have to put in just as much effort into the whole social media and promotion side and the management side and all the PR stuff than you can just as much effort as in like putting together a good song and making sure the recording sounds right. It's like the days of a record exec hearing your album be like, "I'm going to give you a deal and you're going to be able to make money and live off of it" is over. Nowadays record labels are like, "Well, let's see if they can float on their own, and maybe if they're good enough to, promote and sell and tour and market an album on their own, then maybe we'll help them out." It's like you said, the half of the battle is just creating the art. The other half of the battle is putting in the serious time and effort into promoting it and marketing it. And I mean, it's something we get burnt out on so easily. Like I do right now. I'm with everything going on, and all of us are messy with our work schedules. I pretty much do most, if not all, of the social media and promotion stuff on our side. I'll get the guys to help out with a few posts, but man, like I find it very tough some days to just put up one thing on our social media. It's just like one post, even if it's like a couple words or a couple sentences, just anything. The thought of it after a while is just draining.
I
Just thinking about it
I
makes me tired.
yeah, well we can switch to a different topic if you want. I
No, I'm fine talking about it. It's just one of those things that I think
yeah.
needs to be said over and over.
Well, I definitely commiserate with you on that. I know what it's like, to especially if if you're an independent or just starting out or and really in any field, um, it's sort of the onus is on you to kind of take it forward.
Yeah.
And there's some days where it's like, yeah, I don't want to post another meme about, this sort of thing. But yeah, well, what I was gonna say is I watched a a good documentary a while ago about Pearl Jam and the sort of they were talking about the Seattle scene, that they were all sort of very helpful, like all those like Nirvana, Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains were all sort of friendly and tried to support each other. And Chris Cornell said he was talking to Johnny Ramone, and Johnny Ramone was like, "Wait a second, you guys help each other?" And he's like, "Yeah." He goes, "In New York, we tried to sabotage. He's like, you'd be on the stage with, or you'd be like up next, and the band that was playing before you, you'd unplug their amp. Like he was like, we tried to sabotage everyone. He couldn't understand, but
See, I don't get that mindset. Maybe it's just 'cause maybe things were different in the New York punk scene back then. Maybe
I
it's just
think
because all of the Ramones are so hopped up on drugs that they just ruin themselves. I don't know.
I,
I
I'm
can't imagine
I'm
that.
pretty sure that like late '70s punk New York, you're probably the animosity was probably much greater than it is. That's one of the great things
Probably.
about like this Facebook group and some of the other things that we've been doing is that it's been really, the mantra has been like, let's try to support as many people as possible.
Maybe.
And it's great. And like it's really great to be able to sort of in any way possible do our part to kind of lift everybody up.
Of
And
course.
it cuts both ways. It's great. I can promote my own stuff. I can talk about musicians that I think people should listen to. So yeah, and we'll see. Perhaps you'll get that koozie order in one of these days, and
Let's
that'll
let's
that'll
hope.
be yeah. I mean, it's sort of it'll be interesting to see how things progress. Whether or not merch. Oh, there's another. Well, see, when you were just talking about a lot of the bands people look up to have been doing it for like 25 years, they're still sort of stuck in an antiquated system. One of the bands that I always admired was Minutemen because they were very much geared towards being practical.
Oh yeah.
And
I'm
so
I'm
there was
not
a
too
great,
super familiar with the Minutemen. I do know they're like a much underappreciated punk band, but I'm
yeah,
not
well,
super familiar with them.
there's a book called Our Band Could Be Your Life,
Hmm.
which is actually the title comes from one of their songs.
Right.
But there's
Okay.
a chapter on them that's really good in terms of ways that they were economical. That might
Oh.
be like one. They talked about like booking studio time. At like 3 o'clock in the morning because that's when it would be really cheap. And yeah, just all
Oh,
sort like
jeez.
all also like they I don't think they had a merch table because they figured that they wouldn't have to worry about that in terms of the van. Now, of course, that's a problem they probably didn't have to deal with, back in 1980.
Yeah.
Whereas
I mean,
nowadays, 40 years later, you sort of need to, like you said, you need to be on social media, and I don't know
yeah.
if they would have been on it.
I mean, if they were that kind of practical, I feel that they would be smart enough to kind of try to make social media work to their favor.
I
But
think, yeah,
it's one of
I
those
mean
things that like it's we can only speculate at this point.
I remember the way they looked at it was like an album to them was sort of like a way to get people to the live shows. They were all about playing
Exactly.
live.
Yeah.
So I remember I really appreciated their sort of viewpoint on, they would go into the studio with the order of the songs already figured out and they'd be
Yep.
rehearsed so that they would save money and they would use, I mean, they'd record on tape. So they would be using like old tape, to try and that were used in other sessions to try and save money. And the album was a way to sort of get the word out about live shows. So I remember I really liked their work ethic, but yeah, as you said, I mean, it's only conjecture whether or not they would have been on Twitter
Well,
or
it's funny though, because like everything that they do now is stuff that bands are finally starting to do on a much larger scale right now. Um, so like, it used to be that, and even until COVID, it was like, yeah, the album's the way to get people to go to the shows because the shows and touring is where bands made a lot of their money between the merch sales and the CD sales there and getting new fans by going to other places and spreading their influence. That's how it used to be, and then COVID hit. Um, but like things like having everything rehearsed, like I never understood, and even now, I mean, not even now, like even then when I was a kid, I never understood the whole idea of, oh, write it in the studio. Like there's certain things like yeah, you'll change things in the studio. Like we definitely added some different things. Not so much like take care, Brad. Thanks for stopping by. It's cool to have you
Yeah,
listen to
have
me
a good
ramble
one.
on. But I never understood the idea of like, oh, write it in the studio. Like how? You're paying for that time. How do you have the money? Not all of us are Metallica who can spend $1 million reportedly on the Black album just sitting in a studio writing. It's not, I can't imagine using studio time money to just sit there and figure it out. I'd rather, I've always been under the impression of like, you have it done, all the songs are written, you practice them until you're like, all right, we're pretty much good on this, and then you book the time and you just crank it out and do it. I mean, that's what bands are doing now, but the idea of writing it in the studio is just weird to me, or like not having full songs prepared in the studio is just weird to me. I know for us, the only thing that was like that was the solo for Pilford. If the solo for Pilford wasn't completely realized when we went to record it, but I'm working with our producer, we managed to get the last couple bits nailed down and it was done. But
Yeah.
like some songs I've heard bands like they don't have endings to songs, or like they're trying to figure certain arrangements and I go, how? And yeah, like Pat said, like we would have lost it if we didn't have the stuff 95% out planned before. And I just don't get how bands did that. Must be cocaine.
I yeah, probably. I mean, or at least that was the launching off point.
And
But
it's crazy to think because studio time was way more expensive back then too. Like, we had a pretty modest budget for this EP. Um, and like I hear like, bands back then would be paying like between 10 to 30,000 out of pocket for a recording. That's why labels are so important. And that was also back when records could make a buttload of money like that. So like to imagine that bands are paying, for a full album, like let's just say the average like $22,000, and not all the songs are finished, and you have to figure it out, and it's tape. What? No. How do you know?
yeah,
And
no,
bands still do that today.
I don't know. It's a system that needs to be overhauled. But
Oh yeah, that's in chat. That's Pat. That's
yeah,
our drummer.
yeah. Well, when you guys were writing material, was it a collaborative process mostly? Like, do you all get together and write, or do you bring
So
stuff
for
in?
for this EP was a lot of stuff that I had written over the years. So
Okay.
Pilford is a song that was written like 9 years ago, more or less. The basis for it was written like 9 years ago. Seeking My Own Son was written like most of it was, oh, I'd say half of it, I guess, was written shortly after I left my old band, and then and then half of that, and then Death of a Judge, and the plot. Those were all finished within after the band came to be. With those songs, it was mostly just me. I figured it out. The drum parts, I gave Pat general guidelines and like a general idea of what I was going for, and then yeah, I let him have free reign with that, and then we basically just kind of go back and forth and see like, well, this part works or this kind of thing. I was thinking more of something like that. Um, I'm always when it comes to writing for at least for this EP, I was always open to suggestions after the songs were done. Like, hey, here's what I got. Let me know what you think. I'm always open to new riffs and new things to try out with the band because I mean, it has at some point the collaboration has to be there. It's not, my band; it's our band. Um, but we all have a pretty good mind for things, and I think that we all bring something different to the table in a good way. So we have a couple of different perspectives on the music, which I think is really nice. I know that the acoustic guitar interlude in Pilford was all Jeff because I had something different written there that wasn't exactly as I can say flavorful. It was a bit more bland, and Jeff wrote that one. It turned out really good. And Pat's drum Beth's drum parts are almost all him, especially the fills. Like I have, as far as like the basic patterns, I gave him general ideas and let him go with it. But a lot of the flavor crystals and fills that he threw in there, that's 100% Pat. So this EP is definitely mostly me, but it's not. I didn't rigorously plan things out from the beginning. We have a collaboration going. For the new stuff, it's going to be different because I always write. I have my bouts of writer's block, but I'm still trying to come up with some stuff. And we're definitely been working on getting more collaboration for the next EP. It'll most likely be an EP if COVID's still around. Yep, shout out for Jeff for his clean guitar part for his acoustic guitars. Good job, you ginger.
And by the way, apologies to everyone. We were going to have Jeff, Pat, and Nikita on, but there's,
Facebook
there's
is dropping the ball.
Facebook snafus, or or I'm just not versed enough in the technology. So either
Nah, I
way,
think I think it's just a Facebook snafu. I wouldn't
well,
defend that.
we'll get the three of you guys on together at another time, so
Definitely.
it'll all work out. But
Easy
that's it.
Gator.
So you're working on a new. I mean, I know you're always writing stuff, but hopefully there will be enough material for a new EP
Oh yeah, we'll
at
make
some
sure there's gonna
point.
be new material. I have incomplete songs down. Like I usually program my stuff in Guitar Pro, and so I have things there, skeletons of ideas already set. I've had stuff written since we were recording. It's just a matter of really fleshing it out and being happy with it. And then there's always new stuff coming up. Like I'll record memos on my phone. Either I'll sing little lines or I'll record them with my guitar unplugged, just to have the idea down because I have a tendency of writing songs and then forgetting them. I have an entire thrash metal EP that I wrote in high school that's gone because I never wrote any of it down. I thought I'd remember it.
Yeah, I
It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't good except for like maybe two songs, but still, it's gone now.
do you ever wake up like at 1 in the morning and try to give yourself an idea in the in the phone or text yourself or something, or
I would
is
if I
that
didn't have to wake up at 5 in the morning for work.
gotcha?
If I ever wake up at 1 in the morning, it's usually because I'm mad. One of the dogs woke me up, and I go right back to bed.
Well, I would also imagine, yeah. Now that I think, I would imagine sort of when you're writing something musically that you're sort of it's in the moment. It's not like you're gonna wake up at 1 in the morning all of a sudden with a great riff.
Sometimes, I mean,
Sometimes.
sometimes I'll be
Okay,
like falling as. So there have been a couple times where I'll be like in that pre-REM sleep kind of mode, falling asleep, and I'll have something pop in my head, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. I should remember it, and I never do. I never
I,
do.
yeah, I end up texting my if I have like an idea for a story or something or a line of dialogue, I'll text myself, and sometimes
Oh, froze
autocorrect takes over, and
for
those
a
are
second.
usually the best.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, those are the
That's
those are the
always
best
fun. Yeah, autocorrect's the
situations.
best.
But
Well, because then it might change the meaning of the story completely.
yeah, yeah. Well, but I mean, thankfully, I remember kind of what what I had been initially trying to say. So it ends up always working out usually.
Oh, that's good.
But
That's good. Musically, it sucks because like I'll have ideas at work almost all the time. If I'm at work, I'll have things going through my head, and I'll try to sing them into the phone, and then there's no melody, and it just comes out as one note. But I'll have great ideas if I'm at work, and then by the time I get home, you know, and you decompress from the day, and I start picking up a guitar, and my brain goes, all right, here's the same scale you've been playing for the past however many years you've been playing guitar. Have fun. No ideas today. Or it'll be like I'll start playing guitar and I have a nice burst of like inspiration at 11 o'clock at night when I should have been in bed like at least an hour before, and I go, well, I guess I'll have to shelve this idea for some other day, and that other day turns into 6 months, and those 6 months turn into right now me thinking about all those song ideas that I have saved there. It's tough, It's I understand now why people are like full-time musicians where it's their job because you need that time to be able to actually write, but it's a
yeah,
luxury I'm not privy to.
the no, well, I mean, and I think these are all the sorts of things that people aren't as familiar with.
Right.
Like this is the stuff I wish. back when they had, VH1s behind the music, and they it was never like, and then he played guitar for 12 hours a day for the next 7 years, and
Right.
then that's, I was always like, why are you leaving that out? I mean, I get that you have to put in that he developed a drug problem and he had a falling out with his parents, but I think it's really important to show that he didn't just dream of becoming a musician and then it just happened. Like, he really put
Right.
in the time, but yeah, they never, I mean, rarely do they ever shine the light on the side of the business where it's like, oh yeah, and then they had to worry about their marketing,
Yep.
and they didn't have the budget for it, and then COVID hits and it's tough to practice in the same room. But
Yeah. I think Pat said for a genre that's so technically demanding. He's
yeah.
right. It's tough, and they never. Yeah, VH1 things like that. They never show. They'll go into like they'll do like you said the big picture stuff like oh the drug habit or whatever. But they never show like yeah this one song took 6 months to do because I've been so beat or writer's block sucked this badly and that's why it's like this or whatever.
Well, that doesn't fit with the romantic storyline.
Yeah, there's
It's
nothing
like,
romantic about music though.
well, it's the whole thing with like American Idol. They would say, and then she was a waitress who got discovered and became a star. And it's like, no, 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 she was a star. She could sing. She just happened to be waitressing tables. Like,
Yeah.
let's not flip it around here and make it like she's Cinderella. But but yeah,
Exactly.
no, it
No,
would be.
it's
I mean, it would be great if there was at least one place that was like, yeah, sometimes writing a song takes 8 months because you have rent and you have a job and you've got other responsibilities that can take
depression
precedence.
hits. Yeah, totally life events just happen.
Yeah.
And that's actually funny because like I actually asked a question like that because I used to do a bit of band interviewing when I was in college. So my first in-person interview was the Faceless, and it was I was talking to their main songwriter, and I'm like, yeah, so you released like a single 3 years ago because it was a 4 year break between albums, and I go, yeah, and I'm just you're releasing the rest of the album just now. What happened? He goes, life, you know, life happened, and he goes, yeah, I had an injury, and that took me out for a while, but yeah, just generally life, and it's like you don't really think about that, like, oh, why did this album take so long? I don't know. Did they lose their job? Did they like he did like nick his tendon in his hand, and it made him he basically couldn't play guitar for however many months? Things like that nobody ever talks about. You're right, and it's like you said, it's not the romantic side of music of like, oh yeah, we worked hard and got in our studio with our lunch money and stuff, and now we're big and famous. Like, no,
Well,
half the time you guys are like working at a quickie mart, like, man, this sucks. I just want to go home and take a nap.
I think there's a certain like, I certainly understand the argument for keeping it romantic to like keep dreams alive for people. But at the same time, having been a former teacher, I feel like there's so many kids out there who just have no idea the amount of work and drive that you need to
Right.
finish through with something. So it's like, I understand both sides of it. I just wish that they incorporated a little bit more of how difficult, the difficulty that's just everyday life.
Yeah,
But
it's one of those things that goes that really doesn't get talked about when it comes to any creative any creative endeavor. That's what I meant to say. Is that yeah, oh, you can put down whatever you can on a piece of on a page or record whatever you know yeah, you can do that, but the balance of like that passion and life is just never really mentioned, and I feel that for a lot of people that could be that's detrimental. Because like you said, you dealt with those young kids, and they're like, oh, I'm gonna work hard to be a musician. Like, well, what does that entail? It's like, when you start having to pay rent and buying groceries and thinking like, oh, well, my car tire blew, I guess I got to pay for that. Not even just like the financial toll, but like the emotional and mental toll of just paying bills is something that I don't think was really touched on a whole lot. I mean, nowadays maybe it is talked about a bit more when it comes to Yeah, especially the younger kids like that. But
A little bit.
not when I was growing up.
No, me neither. But when I left, there was like there were electives for like financial management and stuff being taught in the high school. So I think they were beginning to do that. But
It's about time.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think certain places are starting to. Um, I think one thing I would always say to a lot of students who were getting into music or art or stuff like that, I would always say if you can't imagine not doing it, that's sort of a good indicator that you should.
Right,
If you're having trouble fit, because there are going to be great moments, and there are going to be moments where you write a hit, write what you think is a great song, or come up with a great riff or something, and then there'll be days, like you said, where your tire blows out and you're not sure how you're going to make it where you need to go. But
right.
um, but if you just can't imagine not doing it, like that's sort of the indicator that that's what you're meant to do.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Because I mean, speaking for myself, there have been a couple times where I was like, I don't even know if I want to play guitar anymore. Um, Fun enough, after leaving Archaic Decapitator in 2016, I was kind of like, it's so weird leaving a band that you've been in for a while because it's like a breakup where you don't know like, oh geez, how am I gonna go on? This is gonna be so weird. You have to have that kind of recovery process. And I think like part of the reason that I wanted to do this band was because I had that experience for, almost 2 years, like probably a little over a year and a half with Archaic, and I'm like, I need to do that again because I have these guitars, I have this amp, I have this program, I have this equipment. I've just been spending my days playing video games, and well, as much as I love my video games, I still have that passion and drive for music. So I think that's a really good way of putting it. Is like if you can't live without it, then just go for it. Find a
Yeah,
way to
and
make it work. I mean, even if it's not a career, just do it.
yeah, I felt like we were like that's the direction we were going in. Um, just obviously it's important to kind of shine the light on the fact that there are a lot of obstacles,
Oh yeah,
but in the end, it is worth it's worth kind of going through the mire, so to speak, to keep slugging it out. And I mean, it sounds like what's great is you guys have released this EP, which is already on Russian BitTorrents,
hell
so
yeah.
you can check that off the list, and you've got another EP's worth of material that you're working on.
More or less,
So
honestly, yeah, they do have about 3 or 4 songs or like ideas for songs I'm toying with. And I
yeah,
know that Jeff, our guitarist, has a couple ideas that he has in the works that we might try to incorporate and Sun Seekerify because he has a bit of a different style to what I usually write in my vision. But yeah, we've got that going. It's just I do it mostly because I want to, and it's my I mean, it's very therapeutic. It's very cathartic for me. It's my part of my therapy. I have a really itchy mustache today, and it sucks because it's only starting when I'm on camera. But
it's all good.
but yeah, we have to keep going because I think we're all on the same page where we just want to keep making music because it's fun. Um, and that's kind of something I think a lot of kids need to understand. And it's maybe not so much as like being in a band or a TV star nowadays. Now it's like being internet famous. Is that you have to do it because you like it and not just because it's a thing to do or like that's the key to success. Like being a musician is the key to the poorhouse, if anything. But I just want to do it, you know?
Yeah. Well, and what's I think you've created this new band because you had the desire to play music again,
Definitely.
and hopefully it's fulfill. I mean, it sounds like it's fulfilling that need really well.
Yeah, it's
Um,
fulfilling a lot of stress too, but it's definitely fulfilling that need.
sure, sure. Well, that's I mean, and I'm hoping that COVID continues to adjust in a good direction, so you guys will be able to answer the merch question, hopefully one
Right.
of these days. Um,
Well, we'll at
but
least get print on demand shirts, but
yeah,
something about like standing behind a merch table and shooting the shit with people is nice.
yeah. I mean, there are certain. I think it's all sort of the perspective that you have, but what's
Right.
great is that you got, you still have song ideas. You've got an album that's out that people are enjoying. I enjoyed listening to it myself,
Thank you.
and hopefully, live gigs will come around again at some point. You'll be able to play, and
Well, funnily enough, we do have an
you'll
outdoor show set.
okay. There you go.
So we do have a guy. We actually did it last year as well. We did a small a socially distant outdoor show, and we have the same thing this year around May. We're doing another one, which is pretty nice. I think it's mostly for the bands, really, because a lot of us are just itching to play in front of people that aren't, the other bandmates. But
Sure.
I'm right there with you, man. Look, hopefully things are trending in a good way as far as COVID and vaccinations and people returning to a semblance of normalcy. I definitely think that a lot of things are going to change as to how we approach them, especially in live music. But
Sure.
as long as we can have shows in some capacity, man, I'll take it. I just need to play.
Yeah. Well, hopefully this will be the start, the start of something within the next couple of months. There'll be, more things will continue to break. I mean, it's great. You've got the album is out. People can find it on any platform.
Oh
You've
yeah.
got other song ideas, and yeah, and obviously, whenever hopefully at any point we can record another interview with your bandmates
Oh
and
yeah.
put that on the site because it'd be nice to speak with them as well.
Oh
But
yeah.
any other because I think we need to wrap up. But any other
Right.
final things that you want to? I know you have a socially distanced show
Yep.
coming out,
Coming
but
up in May. It's going to be all in Connecticut. It's going to be limited seating, but it's going to be fun. We made last time we did it. We did get a few new fans out of it, which was nice. I hate the word fan. They're all friends right now.
yeah,
Not until we hit like the 2,000 mark. I think are they fans? They're just friends. But I mean, we got a lot coming up. Doing our best to promo this EP. If you like it, you don't have to buy it. I'm not going to force anyone to buy it. You can stream it if you'd like, whatever people like to do. Just don't hit those Russian sites. Because I saw one has like 41 downloads, and I'm thinking that's a pretty good chunk of change if they pay for it. But yeah, I mean, we're gonna keep trucking. Probably come around the summer, we'll have some wearable merchandise. Um, and we're just, keep an eye. We're gonna keep putting up, trying to entertain people at least through social media and give people little teases and flavor crystal clips of upcoming material. But yeah, means to an ends out. It's gonna be it seems to be a fun time. A lot of people seem to be digging it.
yeah. I I
Just
I
don't
can
just don't leave
endorse it.
us.
Well, what I would say, obviously, we'll be in touch about
Yeah,
doing the
yeah.
Skype video with everybody.
Yep.
Should you ever want to return to Happy Hour with Heather and Guest, I'm sure that Heather and I would be cool with that. If you want to play or talk or whatever.
Yeah, well, we're gonna try to
Heather,
figure out a way to get to play because I've been meaning we're falling behind on this whole digital show uh craze, and I wanna be able to get to do something
yeah,
like that soon.
yeah. Well, we will keep a spot open for you. Meanwhile, Heather said if you come to Illinois, she's there.
I'm gonna try.
So
It's gonna take a bit of convincing with a couple of the guys, especially with their work schedules on leaving the state and going on the road for more than like a day. But I'm gonna try because it seems like a fun thing.
yeah. Well, it's been great catching up with you and good luck with everything. But
Definitely, man. Thanks. You,
we will
you as
definitely
well.
be yeah, we'll be in touch and thank you
Oh
for
yeah,
your time.
of
Have a
course,
good
of course.
rest of the weekend.
Thank you, man. You take care.